Assalamu alaikum. Whilst the recent vitriol spewed by Donald Trump that the US will own and take over Gaza and turn it into a Riviera and a resort has been globally condemned as a blatant display of colonial arrogance, it does nevertheless truly expose the real face of the West and its colonial, capitalist, predatory DNA, which has shaped its very beginning, its history, right through to the present. Both master-servant war criminals Netanyahu and Trump blazingly applauded each other with compliments of peacemakers, as if their genocide in Gaza, aiding and abetting through billions in military aid, military arsenal and ammunition, and then providing political cover to commit crimes against humanity and genocide, weren't enough or had been forgotten. Audaciously then, the preposterous proposal to now claim that Gaza is too damaged for Palestinians to live in is nothing but a classic colonial tactic. Create devastation, divide the people, create unrest, destabilize, and then present yourself and your institutions that you've set up to serve your interests as the solution, whilst erasing the indigenous populace in the process. Isn't this exactly how the Zionist apartheid entity was created in the first place? The reality is, for decades, Western powers have dictated the fate of the Palestinians and Palestine, not to bring peace, but to strengthen the Zionists and suppress resistance. Genocide warmongers and abettors are acting as so-called peacemakers. They fund destruction, then they pretend to be rebuilders. They impose settlements and then claim to seek justice. They support the settlers, then claim to apply sanctions on their violent conduct. And now they wish to take direct ownership of Gaza, erasing the Palestinians in the process, claiming it's only temporary. This is nothing new we haven't seen before, but a classic colonialism and true capitalist opportunism by Trump to extend the existing Zionist colony and to secure their own capitalist, economic and political interests at all costs. For colonialism to succeed, it needs indigenous agents, proxies, or house Negroes, as Malcolm X described them, who do the bidding on behalf of their colonial masters. And this is exactly where the current Arab Muslim rulers come in, who, like their forefathers, are complicit agents through and through. Their woeful and shameful stance, while Gaza witnessed genocide, is extended into their naive political narratives of the so-called two-state solution, which has all but disappeared, and normalization with genocide mongers. Trump recently alleged that Riyadh has even dropped this demand of a two-state solution now. What these rulers actually fear is the wrath of their own people. If they were to accept the ethnic cleansing of Gaza and US colonialism after their own lands have already been colonized by the US via vast military bases, dissent, destabilization from their own people pose a huge threat to their positions. The truth is, Trump, Netanyahu, the Gaza genocide, in fact, the creation of the Zionist apartheid entity could never have happened without the complicity and support of these so-called Arab Muslim rulers and their forefathers, who actually specialize in selling their own people, their own daughters, like Pakistan did with Dr. Afia, selling Palestine for some delusional visions of the future like Saudi's MBS, and who sold Gaza in return for commercial interest, for continuing trading relations with the Zionists throughout the genocide, like Turkey's Erdogan and the Gulf Sheikdoms. It is for no reason that the Arab Muslim rulers have been described as Israel's first line of defense. For decades they have enforced Western policies, normalized ties with Israel, and promoted an illusion they call peace. Whether it was the monstrosity of the colonialist forefathers, the Crusaders, or the apartheid, ethnic cleansing and genocide of the Zionists, the blessed land and people of Gaza and Palestine are a people of resilience, resistance, unbreakable spirit, which doesn't know capitulation or defeat. Hundreds and thousands of Palestinians have lived in refugee camps in the West Bank, Gaza and around the world. Yet despite their decades living under occupation, genocide and blockade, they continue to endure, rebuild and fight for their rights and work to return to their homeland and liberate Palestine. One thing becomes unequivocally clear. Firstly, the Islamic Ummah and their cause to liberate Palestine is far stronger than ever before. And secondly, Gaza or Palestine are not for sale, and no one has the right to negotiate this land, give it away or take this land. Just like it wasn't for sale in 1901 when Theodor Herzl, the founder of modern political Zionism, approached the Caliph Sultan Abdul Hamid II with significant financial aid in exchange for land allowing Zionist settlement in Palestine. The Caliph rejected the offer, stating, and I quote, "I will not sell even a foot of land, for it is not mine to sell. It belongs to the Islamic nation." How can I help the Palestinian people and what can I do to serve Palestine? Firstly, individuals, do not underestimate the power of your voice. Do not remain silent. If we remain silent, we allow the oppression to go unchallenged. Speak to your family, your friends, your colleagues, in your social circles. Educate people on the reality of Gaza and West's colonialism. When we speak out, we weaken the oppressor's narrative and strengthen the cause of justice. Every voice raised against injustice matters, and history has shown that empires fall when the people refuse to be silent. Secondly, social media influencers, use your platform and expose the lies. If you have a platform, whether you have 10 or a million followers, use it for Palestine. The idea that the US can own Gaza is just another step in removing Palestinians from their land and legitimizing the Zionist occupation of Palestine. Expose the hypocrisy of the Arab rulers, the failure of the two-state solution and the Western colonial project in the region. Show the world that this is not about development, it is about colonialism. Use your voice, counter the dangerous narrative and awaken and educate the masses. Thirdly, imams, scholars, khatibs, your Friday khutbah must address this issue. You have a duty to speak. You have the ears of the ummah every Friday, and this issue must be addressed in your khutbahs. This is not a political matter alone. It is a matter of justice, standing against oppression and the sanctity of the Muslim lands and the blessed lands of Palestine. The people of Gaza are being expelled, their land claimed by foreign powers and their dignity erased. If the pulpits of the masajids remain silent, then what purpose do they exactly serve? Remind the people that standing for justice is an obligation and rejecting oppression is part of the deen. Fourthly, the duty of the Islamic Ummah. This is a defining moment. The US has declared its colonial ambitions openly. But we, the Muslim Ummah, have an obligation to raise our voice, reject this narrative and make it clear that Gaza and Palestine belong to the people of Palestine and the Islamic Ummah. This Ummah is not powerless. History has shown that when the people rise, empires fall. We need to stand for justice, for Palestine and the dignity of the oppressed. Gaza, Palestine are not for sale. Finally, the solution lies in the Ummah's political unity. We have witnessed every single solution, and all of these solutions have failed the Ummah, failed Palestine and failed Gaza. We need to make the Ummah's political unity, i.e. the return of the Caliphate, our project and our priority. We must openly, boldly call for the return of the Khilafah, which will ensure no Muslim land is up for grabs by the vultures of the West. Only through the political unity of the Ummah and the re-establishment of the Khilafah can we guarantee that Gaza, Palestine, Yemen, Sudan and all of the Muslim lands remain free from the colonialism of the West.